The Himalayas, crowned with snow and ice, dominate the Asian landscape. These mountains are not just a geographical marvel, they are the source of life-giving rivers. The Brahmaputra, originating from the Tibetan plateau, flows through China, India and Bangladesh, sustaining millions. This intricate network of water resources has become a point of contention in recent years. China's ambitious infrastructure projects within the Tibetan Autonomous Region, particularly the construction of the Medog Hydropower Station, have raised concerns among downstream nations, particularly India. China's recent administrative changes in Tibet, including the establishment of new counties, have reignited territorial disputes with India. These moves are seen by some as an assertion of control over a region with strategic importance and abundant natural resources. The disputed territory, encompassing a vast area along the line of actual control, has been a source of tension for decades. China's construction of villages and military infrastructure in these areas has further escalated the situation.
India has lodged a strong protest against China's administrative actions in Tibet, asserting its claim over the disputed territories. Indian officials have called China's moves unilateral and a violation of their territorial integrity. They argue that these actions have the potential to alter the status quo along the line of actual control, further complicating the border dispute. India has reiterated its commitment to resolving the issue through dialogue and diplomacy, but it remains firm in its stance.
At the heart of the controversy is the Medog Hydropower Station, a massive project on the Yarlung-Tsangpo River, known as the Brahmaputra in India. This dam, once completed, will be one of the world's largest hydroelectric power plants. China touts it as a symbol of its engineering prowess and a key to meeting its growing energy demands. However, downstream countries, particularly India, harbor concerns about the dam's potential impact on water flow and the environment. Section 5. Downstream concerns. The Brahmaputra River is a lifeline for millions in India and Bangladesh, providing water for irrigation, drinking, and transportation. This mighty river, stretching over 2,900 kilometers, is not just a source of water, but a source of life and culture for the communities that reside along its banks. From the highlands of Tibet, where it originates, to the fertile plains of Assam and the vast delta in Bangladesh, the Brahmaputra nurtures a diverse range of ecosystems and supports countless livelihoods. The construction of the Medog Hydropower Station has sparked fears of reduced water flow, particularly during the dry season. This massive infrastructure project, while aimed at generating renewable energy, has raised significant concerns among downstream communities. The potential alteration in the river's natural flow could lead to a cascade of environmental and socio-economic issues. Reduced water levels could affect not only the availability of water for irrigation, but also the delicate balance of aquatic ecosystems that depend on a steady flow. This could have devastating consequences for agriculture, livelihoods, and ecosystems downstream. Farmers, who rely on the river for their crops, may face severe water shortages, leading to reduced agricultural yields and economic hardship. The drying up of riverbeds could also disrupt the habitats of numerous species, threatening biodiversity and the health of the riverine environment. The potential for China to control the flow of the river, even if unintentional, has raised anxieties about water security and the potential for political leverage. Water, being a critical resource, can become a tool for geopolitical influence. The downstream nations, India and Bangladesh, are particularly concerned about the implications of upstream water management decisions. The fear is that any significant alteration in the river's flow could be used as a bargaining chip in regional politics, exacerbating tensions and conflicts.
The Brahmaputra is crucial for the sustenance of millions. Its waters are not just a physical necessity but a cultural and spiritual cornerstone for the people living along its course. Festivals, rituals, and daily life are intertwined with the river, making any threat to its flow a deeply personal and communal concern. Any alteration in its flow could severely impact the region's agriculture and ecosystems. The delicate balance that has been maintained for centuries could be disrupted, leading to long-term consequences that are difficult to predict. The health of the river is directly linked to the health of the communities and the environment it supports.
Indeed, the stakes are incredibly high. The future of the Brahmaputra and the millions who depend on it hangs in the balance. It is imperative that all stakeholders work together to ensure that the river continues to flow freely and sustainably, preserving its vital role in the region's ecology and economy. Section 6. Water as leverage. Water, a vital resource for life, has increasingly become a strategic asset in global geopolitics. The control and management of water resources can significantly influence the relationships between nations, especially those sharing transboundary rivers. Experts on water resources and geopolitics argue that China's dam projects on the Brahmaputra could give it significant leverage over downstream countries. The Brahmaputra, originating in Tibet and flowing through India and Bangladesh, is a lifeline for millions. China's ambitious dam-building spree has raised concerns among its neighbors about the potential for water scarcity and ecological disruption. The ability to regulate water flow could be used as a bargaining chip in political negotiations or during times of conflict. Control over water can translate to control over agriculture, industry, and even drinking water supplies. This power dynamic can shift the balance in regional politics, making water a tool for both cooperation and contention. This has led to calls for a comprehensive water-sharing agreement between China, India, and Bangladesh to ensure equitable access and prevent potential disputes. Such an agreement would not only address the immediate concerns of water distribution, but also foster long-term regional stability and cooperation. The complexities of water management require transparent dialogue and mutual understanding among the nations involved.
The strategic control over water resources can be a powerful tool in geopolitics. Nations with upstream control can influence the economic and social well-being of downstream countries. This makes it imperative for countries to engage in proactive diplomacy and create frameworks that ensure fair water distribution. It's essential for all involved nations to come together and establish a fair and binding agreement. Such treaties can help mitigate the risks of unilateral actions and promote shared benefits. International cooperation on water management can lead to sustainable development and peace in the region.
The future of millions depends on such cooperation. Effective water management is not just about resource allocation, it's about ensuring a stable and prosperous future for all. By working together, nations can turn potential conflicts into opportunities for collaboration and mutual growth. Section 7. China's perspective. China maintains that its dam projects, including the Medog Hydropower Station, are intended for peaceful development and will not harm downstream countries. Chinese officials have assured India and Bangladesh that they are committed to the principles of equitable and reasonable utilization of transboundary water resources. They emphasize that the dams are designed with ecological considerations in mind and will not significantly impact water flow. However, the absence of a formal water-sharing agreement continues to fuel mistrust and suspicion. Section 8. India's countermoves.
In response to China's dam-building activities, India has announced plans to expedite its own hydropower projects on the Brahmaputra River. These projects, while presented as a means to boost India's energy security, are also seen as a way to counter China's growing influence over the region's water resources. This tit-for-tat approach, however, raises concerns about the cumulative environmental impact of multiple large dams on the river system.
Section 9. Voices of dissent.
Local communities living in the shadow of these mega dams and environmental activists have voiced their apprehensions about the projects. They argue that the dams will displace communities, disrupt ecosystems, and threaten local biodiversity.
There are also concerns about the potential for increased seismic activity in the region due to the weight of the reservoirs. These voices often go unheard in the geopolitical maneuvering between nations.
Section 10. A future in the balance. The Brahmaputra River, once a symbol of interconnectedness, has become a point of contention in the complex geopolitical landscape of Asia. This mighty river, which flows through China, India, and Bangladesh, is not just a source of water but a lifeline for millions of people. Its waters irrigate farmlands, sustain ecosystems, and support livelihoods. However, the increasing demand for water resources and the strategic importance of the river have turned it into a flashpoint for regional tensions. China's dam projects, while driven by its energy needs and development goals, have raised legitimate concerns among downstream countries. These massive infrastructure projects are seen as a double-edged sword. On one hand, they promise economic growth and energy security for China. On the other hand, they pose significant risks to the water security of neighboring countries. The alteration of natural water flow can lead to reduced water availability, affecting agriculture, fisheries, and the overall ecological balance downstream. The lack of a formal water-sharing agreement and the potential for these projects to be used as political leverage cast a long shadow over the region's future. Diplomatic efforts have been made, but the absence of a binding treaty leaves room for uncertainty and mistrust. The stakes are high, as water scarcity can exacerbate existing conflicts and create new ones. The need for a comprehensive and enforceable water-sharing framework is more urgent than ever. Finding a sustainable path forward will require open dialogue, cooperation, and a commitment to balancing national interests with the needs of the environment and the people who depend on it. Collaborative efforts in environmental conservation and sustainable development can serve as a foundation for building trust and mutual understanding. By prioritizing the health of the river and the well-being of the communities it supports, the countries involved can work towards a future where the Brahmaputra River remains a source of life and prosperity rather than a cause of conflict.